Fatangol. So there is the description. Cream Les Paul electric guitar with mahogany body, maple top, ABR1 bridge, and a bone nut. The main reason I bought this one was for the, they say ABR1. We know when they refer to an ABR1 on a Chibson, it just means not a metric bridge. It's more of a Nashville, I guess it's closer to a Nashville design, but it's a small pin design. It will have inserts in the body, which, would not make it technically an ABR1, but whatever. That's the main reason I bought it. There was a couple that were a little bit cheaper. They clearly had metric bridges on them. This one claims to have some, some impressive specs. So that was my thinking behind purchasing this one. There were a couple of other ones that I thought about pulling the trigger on, but I said, let's go with this one. Let's guinea pig this one, and let me show you what showed up. The other part of my reasoning was 4.7 stars. Interestingly, as it says, this item is now sold out. It's not taking me to the store when I click on this, so maybe they're already in the wind. Anyway, let's see what we get when it shows up here. Well, there it is, live from Chino, California. And it was a business day late, so I did get a $5 credit from Temu. Let's check this thing out. As the title suggests, I bought this so you guys don't have to. God help me. And there you have it. There's your first look. And like any Chibson, at first glance, you go, yeah, okay. There's that small pin bridge. So there's a couple reasons why I bought it. In the description, the small pin bridge, mahogany body, blah, 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 whatever. One of the things they said was bone nut, and I can tell you right now, there ain't no way in hell that's a bone nut. I don't know if you can see. It is just shiny and white and very plasticky. That's okay. Let's get this thing on the bench, though, and let's take a real close look at it and see what we actually ended up with. Damn you, Temu. Yeah, as the title suggests, I am the sacrificial lamb of Chibson buyers. This one came from Temu. It's funny because the ad, I'll pop the ad up on the screen real quick. It had all of the right accoutrement, if you will. It had the right bridge, ebony fretboard, bone nut, etc., etc. And I thought, I think it was mahogany body. I don't even remember off the top of my head now. But anyway, I was like, you know what? Let me take a chance on a Temu Chibson. I've never bought one on. I don't know that I've ever really bought anything off of Temu. But anyway, I was bored one night, and this was the result of it. Let me say this: for those of you, I have more guitars than any non-guitarist should own, so it's not a big deal for me. But if you're spending your hard-earned money and hoping for a decent guitar, my experience is don't buy it on Temu. Now, you know, your results may vary, but I can tell you this: when I opened this guitar up, I was immediately disappointed. And it's going to be hard to show some of the flaws on video. I'll do the best I can. And as far as the flaws go, they are all cosmetic. I initially opened this, was super disappointed looking it over, and I was like, all right, whatever. I'll just give it away. I'll give it to a friend of mine or whatever. And then I started to play it. And the guitar plays really good. Pickups are not microphonic. This is the first Chibson I have ever bought that does not have microphonic pickups. You know, it's one of those things. I guess if you don't care about cosmetics, you know, there's so many options to buying Chibsons right now. And I think, yeah, I've said it 1,000 times. It's going to be hit or miss. You know, I read constantly online about Kathy's Customs, P4M, which is Polaris Music, and you get the same results from what I understand online. You get really, really nice guitars, or you get butchered pieces of junk. And as most of us know, there's a handful of manufacturers over there in China, and probably all of these guitars come from the same handful of factories. And there's probably, you know, who knows what the percentages of good ones versus not so good versus scrap wood. It's weird because like the Aldo Nova Chibson that I bought from Shoe 72.95 on eBay, almost a perfect guitar. And then there was extra things like the cavity was sprayed with help me out here, guys. Shielding, shielding paint. When do you see that on a Chibson? And granted, that guitar still had microphonic pickups. I still had to pull it apart and wax pot them. But that guitar is super special to me. The black Les Paul Custom I got, and all these videos are on my channel. The black Les Paul Custom I got from Shoe also, really nice guitar. Not as nice as the Aldo Les Paul. Couple of little flaws here or there. And, so as far as this one goes, it's not in the same category at all, cosmetically. But yet, hardware-wise, or pickup-wise, certainly it's better than those two guitars. Both of those guitars had to be wax-potted. And otherwise, hardware, it's on point. It seems to be the same hardware that was used on those guitars. This one, cosmetically, is just, there was no care in putting it together. These little, these little check marks. I'll show you a close-up of all this stuff. And then, of course, I'm going to pull one of the pickups out and just take a peek, and then we'll take the back cover off. All right, enough of this chit-chat nonsense. Sorry, it's long-winded. Let's throw it on the bench, and actually, I'll give you a quick overlook of it. Then we'll throw it on the bench and take a look at the innards. I want to try and show you some of these flaws up close. It's just really tough because the camera tends to not want to pick them up. You can see they didn't, and then you get too close. And then you lose, there you go. I'm trying to work with the lighting too. You can see that didn't quite make the, didn't quite finish out there. You see how choppy and wanky that line is where they taped off the binding on the neck. If you look very closely, and maybe you don't have to look so closely, yeah, you can see it. So right there, center of the screen, you see that little crack where the fret is. And we move up the neck, there's another one. There's another one. There's another one. There's another one. And another one. And yes, another one. I don't think, let me just see here. Only on this side of the neck. So, yeah. The binding in general is just real wanky. See how it fades in and out with color? Super choppy lines. Let's see if we can keep it focused here. you know, it's funny with this light, you can see how the finish is less than perfect. You don't see that in natural light. It's hard to tell, but it fades out in a few areas. Sorry. See how it like fades? The pick guard was mounted way too high. They actually screwed into the binding. They're hiding the fact that it's uneven there. And you can see just how wonky that is. So that's really, I mean, the back is kind of the same too. Headstock. See if we can see. We get the light here. You know, it's a little off center, which is not uncommon on a Chibson. I've seen way worse that people have posted online. Nothing much to tell about the finish itself is not terrible, the paint. It's mostly surrounding the binding. And of course, you know, the binding on the neck. I don't know if I said this or not. When I first opened this up, I was immediately disappointed. Because you look at it and you go, oh my God, this thing is sloppy. But again, it actually plays real well. Stays in tune pretty decent. No, as I said, the pickups are not microphonic. You know, I went from like just being sorely disappointed and going, you know, I'm just going to give this guitar to one of my buddies, to actually enjoying it. I have played it nonstop. I've had this thing for almost a month now, and I've been playing it actually a lot. So go figure. I'm telling you that, guys, all this though, because if, you know, cosmetic stuff is important to you. Well, look, if you're anal and cosmetic stuff is really important to you, you probably should not be buying a Chibson. You shouldn't be buying a $250 guitar, because you're just not going to get, you know, unless you get super lucky. I did with the Aldo Les Paul. You know, it's that one over there. You're not going to get a real nice fit and finish guitar. It's just, you know, you're just not. But anyway, having beaten that dead horse, I want to take the strings off it real quick. Just take a look at what the pickups look like. We'll look at the pots and see what we got going on in there. I'm gonna lower that pick guard down a little bit. I'll probably put a different set of knobs on it, because I have decided to keep the guitar at this point, because I actually am enjoying it. But anyway, let's see what we got here. You know, nothing terribly surprising. And if you guys can see, it's got a B on it, which I have seen that before on Chibsons. You know, B for bridge. There'll be an N on that one. Sorry, just moving stuff out of the way here. You know, it looks as chintzy and as barren as any Chibson pickup would look. For the life of me, I don't understand why they aren't microphonic. I don't see any kind of sealing or anything going on in there. I'm going to just reattach this. Take that off. We'll flip it over and take the back cover off. All right, the screws are out. Let me get a light for you guys. Yeah, no surprises there, is there? And I don't imagine there's any surprises here. I would imagine we have little rinky-dink. Little rinky-dink pots with a plug-and-play harness, automotive-type wiring, exactly what you would expect to see in a Chibson. Not surprising. So, let's bottom line this thing. Like I said, I've actually enjoyed playing it, so I got a wiring harness kicking around with some, you know, different pots. I actually have different pickups too, but I don't know that I'm going to replace the pickups. 1 second. All right, so here's the funny thing. I just wanted to flip it back over. Maybe I'll leave the pick guard off for now. I don't know. So I just ran a straight edge on the neck, and it's, perfectly straight. Ironically, I threw the rocker on there. There is not one single fret that's out of whack. Not one. I'm really, there's usually one that, you either have to slap with a mallet or just, clean it up with a file. Not one. Which I guess explains why it plays as well as it does. The action is well set. So anyway, I don't want to draw this out any longer than we have to. That's my experience with the Temu Chibson. Your results definitely may vary. This was just a fun experiment for me. I just said, you know what? Let's try it. Let's try a Temu one. I'm just going to spruce this one up a little bit, as I mentioned, knobs, etc., etc. And she'll hang on the wall. All right, people. I'm Smitty. This is a less than perfect Temu Chibson Les Paul Custom. And I'm out.